Actually, we need to hope that Gaddock Teague doesn't come down, because that hoses all of our removal. Called it. Oh, that's not what you want to see. Yeah, there's its various protection. All right, we called it. Twin cast the Cyclonic Rift.
Today on Commander Replay, we check out some high-power magic as we try to survive the aggro onslaught with Kess Dissident Mage. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, there's two great ways to support the channel. All links are in the description below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Kess Dissident Mage Control today. Or Control Combo, I guess you will. Today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Jared, and he's been waiting a little while for this one, so trying to get this one off the back burner. We sort of go through periods of like having people to play high power games and then not, and this is a pretty strong looking deck. So, been tough to kind of get a game together for it. Anyway, here we are now. This is a halfway decent opening hand. We just had a game where I mulliganed down to 6 and never had more than 1 land in any of those hands, so I feel pretty good with 3 lands right here. We'll go ahead and keep. I did switch out a couple lands in the mana base. Some of the like the triomes and some of the like more recent like standard playable lands were in here, and like they were just a little more expensive than they were like 5 to 10 tickets, and I'm just like, I don't need to spend 5 to 10 tickets on like a subpar land that like. I can just throw some fetches in, because there were no fetches in the deck, actually. So, added a couple fetches in those slots just for, like, budgetary reasons, because I already have the fetches. And made only one change in the deck. Skyclave Relic isn't working quite the right way on Magic Online, so I cut that. Added an Underworld Breach, which I think is going to be really good for this deck. Like, that's basically going to be another win condition. So, that was the one change I made. But, yeah, overall, the deck looks pretty strong. We'll take a peek at it in a little bit. We see an Elvish Mystic coming in. Opponent got themselves a pregame Gemstone Caverns. Yeah, those are pretty good. Down to 4 cards, though. That is rough. That is the cost of that card. So, like, with a card like this, I mean, obviously, like, for CEDH, this is very good, very playable. For regular Commander, man, like, if you're not playing blue, especially where you can easily draw a bunch of cards afterwards, or, like, maybe green, it's a lot of card disadvantage. Honestly, it's good ramp. Like, it's good to be quick to stuff, but there is definitely a cost. Ooh, God. Priest of Titania is more ramp. Well, if it's just going to be all the L's, we're going to look at this Blasphemous Act pretty soon, I think. There's a Talisman. Talismans are cool. What's this one do? Tap. Unless you have 2 or more opponents. We do, in fact, have 2 or more opponents, so play this one. And we'll drop in the Mystic Remora. And we'll pass like that. Probably get very little off the Mystic Remora from D-Manny. It's piloting his Samut deck, which is just like, it's like 42 creatures or something absurd like that. So, yeah, actually, we need to hope that Gaddock Teague doesn't come down, because that hoses all of our removal. I guess Rift gets around Gaddock Teague. Called it. Oh, that's not what you want to see. So now we're going to have to get the Rift. We can't just fire off this Blasphemous Act the way that I want to, which is disappointing. See if anyone else wants to shoot the thingy. Though I feel like everyone... I don't know what the Myrkul deck... I've seen a little bit of Myrkul, but I think that's also going to be like a heavy creature deck, too. I think those are all like heavy creature decks, which is not ideal. Back to our turn. We have an upkeep to pay. We're going to pay. There's another land. Sulphur Falls. Yeah, good time for Sulphur Falls. Actually, that'll come in on tap. Let's get the Flooded Strand. Crack the Flooded Strand. And get one of our tap lands. What colors do we need? We need black. Let's get a Watery Grave, and we'll go tapped. Pass like that. Hope to get a little value off of the Mystic Remora this turn cycle. I hate when this happens, when you play it and no one casts any non-creature spells. Toski is not ideal. Let's take a look at our commander. It's Kess Dissident Mage. 4 mana for a 3/4 flying. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard. If a spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Yeah, you cast everything twice. It's really good. Kess has been in the CEDH landscape for quite a while. I haven't been keeping up on CEDH exactly to see what's at the top of the game, but it's always been a very powerful deck the past few years, and I've run into it a number of times in that setting, and a few times outside of that setting too. It is a very popular commander, so yeah, it's just a really powerful effect, and basically everything Grixis wants to be doing, so... Dare I say, it's probably the single best Grixis commander. God, what a Toxic Deluge make me so happy. Infectious Inquiry. You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Each opponent gets a poison counter. Alright. We do get to draw a card finally, though. Yes. What's this one do?
There's a card draw spell. Yeah, there's a few elves on the battlefield. That one's a Kithkin. Getting 2 mana off this thing. Mana Vault, card draw, love it. Back to our turn. I think I'm going to stay with the Mystic Remora right here. I know we've drawn a couple, but we don't really have, like... We can cast the Signet, which is fine, but there's another land. Play the Sulphur Falls. See if we can get just a little bit more card draw. Ideally, I'd like to find a Toxic Deluge or something for the Toski. The fact that this thing's indestructible is super annoying. It seems to just stay out there forever and ever, continuously drawing cards. We're probably going to be looking at a Samut here pretty soon. Yep, there that is. I mean, I would love to not have to do this, but we might have to, like, 2 mana Rift and then Blasphemous Act. Kithkin coming our way. Spreads the attacks around a little bit. Toski triggers. Toski triggers a bunch more times. Yep, he just drew 4 cards. We actually need a few more creatures to come into play still, if we want to do the Rift Blasphemous Act play. Although, I don't feel amazing about bouncing the Teague, because then he just recasts it, and then we're kind of just back in the same spot. It's not the most ideal. Kodama's Reach? Oh god, I wish we had a Reverberate or something. Love to copy that. Into the Mystic Remora. Another island, not what we're looking for. We might be looking at Myrkul this turn. They've got the Mana Vault. Oh god, this is an enchantment? That seems terrible. That's not a thing I want to see. Here comes the Myrkul. Yep. Didn't even need to use the Mana Vault. How about that? Phyrexian Altar, we draw one more time. I'm hoping we catch something useful here. I'd like to let the Mystic Remora go, but if it's like another land, still kind of chasing what we need. It's another land, of course. Well, we have way too many cards in hand now, although essentially that just turns us into looting if we stay with it. I think we gotta let it go. I think we need to start doing other stuff. No, not paying. Down it goes. Valakut Awakening is actually not terrible. And it's still castable, which is notable. Let's play the Arcane Lighthouse. Get the Talisman. And I think we sit on the Valakut Awakening. And we'll probably just fire that off at the end step and try to loot away a bunch of these lands. Cycle them to the bottom, I guess is what it does. Oh, we do need to discard. Let's get rid of this thing. Yeah, we have less lands now. Definitely want to keep one. I mean, maybe we'll get a little help from opponents and someone will shoot the Gaddock Teague. Toski our way, Teague our way. Samut over to Fish. 7 Deadly said no thanks on the Teague, which means they don't want to shoot it. Fish said they can't. So we might be on our own here trying to solve this thing. Yep. More card draw from Toski. Even more card draw from Toski. What are we on? We're on 5 mana. If we could catch something that would speed us up by 1, a Jessica's Will or something, Rift would be fantastic. Avacyn's Pilgrim. Oh god. He's got haste. Mana neutral. Disgusting. He has so many cards now that we also have to worry that he's sitting on a protection effect. Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. That one actually doesn't impact us all that much. Thankfully. Also, we didn't leave up protection mana, so yeah, whatever we do, it's probably going to have to be this turn. Maybe we should have played the... No, because that doesn't really help us either. -4, -4. Nice! Fish shoots the Teague. Love it. Love it. Okay, that makes life so much better for us. We do all get poison counter, though. Teague down. I am happy. We can start to play the game now. Panharmonicon for Fish. That's actually a nice play because based on what I've said, they can intuit that we have a board wipe. And so they're not committing a creature to the board. And, you know, they're fully expecting that this is going to get blown up, allowing this to do its thing. So, yeah, it's, I like that play from Fish. Reading between the lines. Love it. Let's see what 7 Deadly's got. Take a look at opposing commanders, by the way. So we had talked about D-Manny's Samut deck. It's shown up a number of times on the channel. It's basically just like creature, aggro, onslaught. It's nasty. In the middle here, we've got Fish Said Fish piloting Vishgraz, the Doom Hive, one that I haven't seen. 5 mana, 3/3, Menace, Toxic 1. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1 and can't block. And it has +1/+1 for each poison counter your opponents have. I think this is the new Poison Commander, as I've heard. Someone in chat before the game, I believe it was Jeff, said they really wanted to see what this commander looks like in action. They were sad that they weren't able to join the game. But here we are, taking a look at it. So we'll see what Fish has got going. Kind of off to a slow start for Fish, but we're about to wipe the board, so, you know, should slow things down at least a little bit. There's a Jewel Lotus for 7 Deadly, which will be... It'll be good if this ever gets blown up. Let's end step this Valakut Awakening. How many things are we getting rid of? I think I want to keep the card draw spell. I feel better with the card draw spell, so I honestly think it's just going to be one land. Maybe you could go for both lands, but then if you don't catch one, that's pretty awkward too. So I think it's just cycling one land here. Bojuka Bog, Exsanguinate. Well, that's a win condition. And this is Graveyard Exile, which is actually going to be pretty relevant, I think, here. Back to our turn. A Soul Ring is beautiful. Let's cast the Soul Ring. Let's cast this Blasphemous Act. Need to pay 2 for it. Not terrible. Opponent sacrifices their Priest of Titania to get the Myrkul effect off of it. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Especially D-Man, he's got a deck full of elves. He's got like every mana dork in this deck. So everything except the Toski getting blown up. Love it. Myrkul even goes down, so they'll at least have to spend some mana to recast it. Love it. I think we get this Mizzix of the Niv Magus into play. That's what I'm feeling right here. Start trying to work up the experience counters on this thing. Boy, do I love this. We're going to play this Bojuka Bog and exile D-Manny's Graveyard. He runs Sword of Light and Shadow in this deck, and like, Sword of Light and Shadow is a decent card, but I've never seen it be so effective as it is in his deck. Like, just late in the game, his deck is basically a creature toolbox, so he's always getting back exactly the thing he needs to deal with whatever's going on, and it is a nightmare. And I've never seen Light and Shadow be that good in another deck. Now, that is based on, like, the decks I play, right? If you play, like, Abzan creature stuff, like, it's not terrible, and I don't know, like, maybe not Carador, maybe Carador, you know. But anything like that where it's just going to be a ton of creatures with abilities that you need, Light and Shadow can be pretty good. I've always found that it was a little lackluster in Boros, especially, like, early in the game. Later in the game, it's solid, but for that reason, I don't tend to run it as much. It sort of depends on, like, how many board wipes are you expecting in that game? If it's at least a couple, it's probably going to be pretty good. Worldly Tutor, let's see what he's getting. Oh, that card. Hate that card. Oh, I wish we had a counterspell. I would counter the bejesus out of that card. Dockside Extortionist. Yeah, it's going to be a bunch. Rifting a Dockside doesn't do all that much either. That's notable. Maybe it helps a little. Things get out of control. 7 treasures. Yep. Every D-Manny deck is just Tutor for Dockside Extortionist win game. That's literally every single one of his decks. And it's not his fault. It is a fault of the card more than it's anything. I am ready for this thing to leave the format. Imperial Recruiter. Karmic... Well, probably not Karmic Guide, honestly, because we just hosed his graveyard. What do you get? That is part of the problem facing this deck, too, is that there are so many tutors in this deck, he basically just has perfect access to everything in the deck. We about to lose Mizzix? Skyclave, yeah, I think Mizzix is probably going to go down here. Yep, Mizzix going to get exiled, makes me sad. I never get to play with this card. I just never play Is It, really. So, I know it's powerful. I know that's the right play. Though there is a world which, like, shooting that isn't the worst idea either. Toski our way, yep. We might be on this thing, although I don't love that this is a sorcery. D-Manny's used up most of his treasure mana, draws a card. Ranger of Eos. Cool card. I need to run this more. 1-drops have gotten better, also. Skrelev, Defector Might. Glistener Elf, Modern All-Star right there. Pretty sure. Yeah, that was in the Modern Infect deck, right? I can't remember. I haven't looked at a Modern deck in a long time. Death Touch and Toxic 1. Yep. I think our choices this turn, as far as I can tell, are going to be tap out and draw with this thing, or sit on a Rift. With all of Fish's Toxic, I don't really know what Fish's plans are, so we may actually need to sit on that Rift. Myrkul into play. D-Manny has 3 mana up. That could be it to fairies. How much poison is this? There's one. There's one. There's one. This could get pumped up by any number of things. Ral's interesting. Maybe we draw enough with this to leave up 2 mana for the Rift. That seems like a reasonable idea. That way we can, like, bounce something if we need to, just so we don't die. But we also get some extra cards, which we kind of need here. We draw 4. Those are some cards. Twin Cast is very interesting. Ooh. We can potentially win the game next turn. Mana Geyser, Reverberate, Twin Cast, Exsanguinate. We just need to watch out for colored mana. Goes on the attack with more 1/1s. Yep. Opponent's going to block... Oh, God. He's having the Dockside killed, which means he has a way to get the Dockside back, which I'm not thrilled about. God, I wish we exiled that one. 2 more card draws. There's Karmic Guide, because of course. Bringing back the Dockside. 11 treasures. Yeah, I mean, he can cast everything in his hand. It's a Teferi's Protection we got to worry about. I guess the way to play that is if he tries it to Fairies Protect, we try to leave up a blue. And in response to the Sanguinate with the fairies on the stack, we Cyclonic Rift. Surprisingly tame turn. So he casts a Sarah Ascendant, which is good. Leaves up a bunch of treasure mana, which means he's gonna bring Samut back in at the end step. But I'm actually surprised he didn't cast more cards from his hand. Because 7, 10, 11... I mean, honestly, I think he has the Teferi's Protection. He sat on 3 treasures, like, last turn, and right now he has exactly enough mana to go Samut, Teferi's Protection. I guess he has 1 extra, but no. 7, yeah, he has 1 extra, but... Yep, so we need to make sure... Yeah, we need to play around this very carefully. I guess another way to do it is we can also twin cast the Exsanguinate on top of the Teferi's Protection. That's not a terrible idea either. Orin Frostfang. Well, we're the one without blockers. This ain't gonna feel good. Gives this thing... This is only hexproof from a color. This isn't protection. I wonder if Fish is about to mess this up. This thing looks very interesting, though. Someone was asking me about this in a comment or something the other day. In particular, if you're playing an aura deck, this could be very helpful for you because this won't remove the auras from your creatures. Where, like, Mother of Runes will if you choose the color that your auras are. Don't say blue. Hexproof from white. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, definitely some stuff coming our way. That's fine. No blocks. Hope there's not some giant pump spell. That'd be terrible. I guess we have the Rift for that, but... an untapped land off the top, particularly a colored one, would not be the worst thing I've ever heard of. God, D-Manny's at 37? That is a lot of mana to have to make all in one turn. Oh, maybe we bring Kess? Kess uses up a lot of mana, colored mana, though. Enchanted creature has Toxic 2. When it dies, return it to the battlefield. It's not terrible. Puts it on the Frostfang. Yep. Destiny Spinner for opponent. Repeated Reverberation. What does this even do? When you cast your next instant spell, cast a sorcery spell, or activate a loyalty ability this turn, you may copy that ability twice. Oh. You may choose new targets for the copies. Oh my. Stay calm. We have a colored mana situation. That is our problem. So let's try to parse this out. We go, this one, red, gets us a mana geyser. The problem is we are out of red. We actually don't have quadruple red. Ooh. Which means we'd have to use the twin cast just to copy the mana geyser. The other problem is, how much mana do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 mana. It's not, like, enough to... God, I wish this was a colored land. Because my other thought was cast Kess, sit on Cyclonic Rift, and, like, kind of get that value. I don't know that actually does all that much, though. Although, this gets us to... Yeah, let's take a look at this. So, let's go... That'll leave us with 1 floating. And then we could use the double mode. We would put a Mana Geyser on the stack. We'd have to tap out the rest of our mana to do it. Yeah, we have a colored mana situation. I guess that means... that means we probably have to Cyclonic Rift, sit on, and copy it with Twin Cast if they protect. Ooh, don't love that. What if we do this the other way? What if we go Mana Geyser? No, because we don't have quad red. Yeah. No quad red. Okay, I think it's Cyclonic Rift, Twin Cast is where we're at. Echo cost on the Karmic Guide. Gonna pay for it. Did not flash in their commander at the end step. God, I'd probably Twin Cast a Cultivate if someone casted one right now. We need colored mana. D-Manny says Rift mana. D-Manny just asked if infinites are cool, so I think we're about to see a Revelark here. I did not count on a Revelark infinite. That I did not plan for. That's an Akroma's Will, is what that is. Okay. Blasphemous Act. Well, cleans up the other stuff on the board. Myrkul sacks the thing. He said it's in case he draws it, which he hasn't yet, so that's good news. Not super well defended against Karmic Guide Revelark combo. When creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control. Frostfang gonna come back. Destiny Spinner now an enchantment. So if D-Manny sent everything at us, I'm counting 26 damage, which would put us to 1, which is much lower than I'd like to go. Big one our way. There's a little bit coming our way. What is that? That's 12 plus that is 16. Yeah, that's gonna hurt a bit. I don't think I'm gonna pull the trigger on it just yet. Am I? The problem is, well, if we do it in combat, he floats all the mana. I guess he can cast a Samut, so he's not, like, completely boned. I mean, we're going to end up doing this anyway. Like, we left the mana up for it, so... I think we try to save our life total a bit, just in case we need another turn to set up. I think that's the correct call here. But you know me with blue combo decks. Making the best decision is not always the thing that I do with these. Make sure we got blue up. We do. Yeah, here it comes. Or maybe not. Yeah, there's a Teferi's Protection. All right, we called it. Twin cast the Cyclonic Rift. Problem is he still got some treasures, although it gets rid of a lot. Yeah, Dockside's not going to be nearly as effective. Oh, also we can't kill him now. Don't tell me he's got another one. Just floating the mana. Yeah, floating the mana. Cast an Eldamri's Call. That's fine. Hopefully, I mean, he's got so many different creatures in the deck. What can he get? Oh, his lands are tapped out. Oh, that's beautiful. Is there a green creature that says flash counter target blue spell yet? Goes for a Wandering Archaic. Huh, that's not the worst idea. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea at all. Luckily, I don't think they can cast it yet, which is probably going to be our saving grace here, but that's a pretty good piece of tech against a deck like ours. Some sort of spell-slingery combo control deck. We get a 4/4. Hooray for a blocker. Haven't really had one of those all game. We do need to keep in mind that we actually can't kill D-Manny yet. Oh, that's interesting. That is actually really interesting. There's a generous gift on a land? Oh, really? That actually hurts. We're hurting on lands, so... Yeah, this turn might be something like Kess crack the Myriad Landscape, because we need colored mana. Also worth noting, D-Manny's lands are not in play, so we probably don't want to do the Mana Geyser thing this turn. D-Manny said he figured we knew that he had it. The Akroma's Will was bait. Yep. Yeah, both of us reading each other really well in that situation. Both of us kind of knowing what the other one's doing. Luckily, Rift Twincast got us through without too much headache. Panharmonicon, back to play. Ooh, you know what's interesting about the Myrkul deck? These are in exile, so they lose these effect. Rift, apparently particularly nasty against the Myrkul because of the way that interaction works, where most decks the thing just goes back to your hand and life is fine, but for Myrkul, not amazing. God, we have so little red mana. I at least want to leave up the Reverberate in case someone plays something crazy. I'm a little worried that, like, we'll cast Kess and it just gets shot. That would be terrible. Oh, that Wandering Archaic, though, is going to mess us up really good. There's no real way around it, though, because we can't kill him. So, like, he's just going to untap. Altar, back to play. Oh, God, these are all artifacts. That's going to make Dockside insane. We need a counterspell. Show me a counterspell. Deadly Rollick is... Ooh, yeah, that gives we can shoot the Wandering Archaic. Yeah, let's cast our commander. We'll go black. Oh, we can get black off the arcane thing. I guess it doesn't really matter. Cast Kess. Pass like that. Yeah, we're not an attacking deck. We'll just stay back. Dockside for 1,000,000. Yup. God, I hate this card. He'd be so out of it if he didn't have Dockside. He's already cast it, what, twice? Dockside number 3. Eternal Witness. What's in there? Please don't be the generous gift. Eldamri's Call. Gross. Get Revelark. Eldamri's Call. Teamer Sabertooth, huh? That's going to have to get Deadly Rollicked. Actually, do you Rollick the Dockside or the Teamer Sabertooth? He can blink the Eternal Witness, which is also still really good. I don't think I want him to have more mana. Deadly Rollick the Dockside. Dockside into exile, thank God. Eternal Witness is still very annoying. Teferi's Protection thankfully exiles itself. We can get a Blasphemous Sack. That would be really annoying, actually. There's the Wandering Archaic, yep. So next turn probably needs to start with shooting that. I guess the question is, like, how many instant speed things does he have? Actually, with the Teamer Sabertooth, could be pretty nasty. Like, if he's copying Mana Geysers and stuff, I think he can actually find ways to use that. Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. Okay. That's bad for Planeswalkers, right? Yeah, that seems bad for Planeswalkers. These all have those all have Toxic. Careful with that. We actually don't really have anything up. We'd have to block with everything if Fish just sent it all. Big one to D-Manny. All the other ones to D-Manny. Yeah. Doesn't want to mess around with D-Manny's deck. As strong as our deck is, he's actually had a better showing than we have. We were just able to have exactly the interaction we needed it right when we needed it. There's a lot of ways that could have, like, backfired. This actually puts him under some interesting pressure because even if he blocks everything, he still goes really high on poison damage. And if Fish has, like, another Proliferate spell in hand, could be enough. Blocks with the Witness, blocks with the Sabertooth, blocks with the Archaic. D-Manny's got tricks. Yep, bounce the Eternal Witness, I assume. Does tap him out. It's good news. It's good news. Oh! He goes to exactly 10 poison. Fish got him. Wow, that solves a lot of our problems. Mana Geyser gets less good with a player going down, but How about that? Yeah, okay. Okay. I thought he was... Oh! Ha ha! It's all doubled because of the Vorinclex. Wow. So Fish had their choice of who they wanted to kill, basically. If they sent... What'd they lose? They lost 2? I think they lost 2 in combat. Yeah, no, they probably... Although, we have open mana. We don't actually have anything for that with that open mana, but, you know, when you have open mana in a control deck, it just looks scary, so... you want to try your shots somewhere else. 7 Deadly. They've been piloting Myrkul. Did we even introduce them? Piloting Myrkul all game, and they have not been able to get that much going. I would say card draw has been their problem. They just, you know, this thing with the exile. They exiled Noxious Revival. Yeah, it's a useful card. Yeah, you got to draw cards. They really haven't. That's kind of the issue here. We do actually need opponents to tap their lands. If they don't do that, then this may not work. That's the... Ooh, does Fish have it to fairies? We don't have answers if Fish has to fairies. Huh. I guess... Jesus. Jesus. Also, if, like, Fish to fairy in response to the Mana Geyser, we'd get, like, no... Oh, God, opponent's not doing anything. Opponent, please cast something. Crack the Myriad Landscape. Yeah, right now, Mana Geyser doesn't make very much mana. That's a problem. Let's get 2 mountains. Jessica's Will, off the top, would be helpful. Fish has got something. Tapping out a few more lands. See how bad it's going to get. Probably a removal spell. Yep, on our commander. They don't have Teferi's. That's kind of the key here. So back to the command zone. We're going to have to figure some things out. A board wipe would buy us time. It's actually not the worst thing I've ever heard of. Deflecting Swat. Well, that would have been helpful a second ago. I think we need to prolong. Well, let's double check. So... because there's nothing tapped over there. How many is it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's just say we went 4. We would cast a Mana Geyser. It would get copied. We'd have a bunch of red mana. We'd be out of black mana. Yep, it's still a problem. I think that means we extend. Man, getting that land shot hurts so bad. Into Fish. Fish has more life. Yes, Fish has more life, so actually the amount of that we need to do. Can we win right here? How much is this? Is that 10? Yeah, that's 10. Both opponents are on very similar life now. So we need about... yeah, we need 20 mana. Can we get to 20 mana? Let's say we went Mana Geyser first. Do we have quad red? We do have quad red, thankfully. Okay. So Mana Geyser first. Then using red to copy it. Getting 2 Mana Geysers. Then we have black left for the Exsanguinate. How much mana does that get us? That'd be... No, we're actually a little bit short. So yeah, we just need to extend right here. Cast our commander. We need 7 Deadly to tap lands. Cast the Blasphemous Act. Sacrifices the bird for mana. Everything gets blown up. Back to the command zone. We'll cast all the, what made all the tokens? Oh, this doubled. Okay, so that's probably just going to come right back. Now 7 Deadly's tapping lands. It's not annoying at all. Court of Calling, X5. What do we got? Tendershoot Dryad. Okay, makes a token. A Johnny Sleeper Agent coming in. I feel like that's better than them just casting a bunch more creatures. Reveal the top card. If it's a creature card or a planeswalker, put it in your hand. Otherwise, bottom. You may put it on the bottom. Feed the Infection. Draw 3 cards and lose 3 life. Each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters loses 3 life. That's us. That is us. Ooh, that lowers life totals. That's a big deal. Because now opponents are at 12 and 13. I think we can get to 12 and 13 for this Exsanguinate. Getting to 20 was much more difficult. Also, Fish is tapping out here. And hopefully 7 Deadly casts something. God, this thing has an enchantment? Oh, God, that seems nasty. Just happens to sit there all game doing that. Cast a Toxic Creature, yep. As long as 7 Deadly doesn't pull out something wild here, I feel pretty good about where we're at. Jeweled Lotus back to play. Running low on cards. They've been low on cards most of the game. Which means probably, yeah, they cracked the Jeweled Lotus, means probably just their commander, which... all things considered, I mean, that doesn't get us killed, so. Myrkul coming into play. Yep. That taps out most of their mana. Excellent. We are in a good spot. Finally going to be able to try to pull this win off. Been having to kind of nurture this thing for, what, 4 turns now? Yeah, doing some attacking. There's a Cloud Shift. What's this thing do? Oh, someone's going to get a poison counter. It's going to be us. Okay. Brings it back to our turn. There's another thing. Galvanic Iteration. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's got flashback. Yeah, this would have been helpful a while ago when we didn't have the red mana we needed, but I think it's time. I think we finally have the cards that we need to cast this Mana Geyser. Oh god, we need to hold up priority. Oh, almost messed that up. Whoo! Cast Mana Geyser. Hit it with a Reverberate. 2 Mana Geysers. 15 mana. 1 probably would have been just fine. Actually, 30 mana. This seems like it should be plenty. And actually, we have this in case someone has any wackiness. Exsanguinate for the win. X24. Down they go. Finally, the game's shaping up the way we wanted it to. Just, oh man, we were just like the teeniest bit behind where we needed to be. A couple treasures. If we had like made a couple treasures off of anything at some point, I think that would have got us to where we needed to go. But overall, I like the deck. It's obviously very strong. It's got a very good mana curve for the type of setting where I think you'd want to play this deck. Basically, every Signet and Talisman, which is kind of a necessity in these colors because it's tougher to get lands into play. Bunch of big X spells up here. All seems good. One thing I want to check on, the amount of creature interaction. We seemed to, like we had a little bit of interaction this game, but I always felt like we kind of missing the one. Like Toxic Deluge would have solved like the Gaddock Teague problem, which would have been nice. Crypt is a good one. Let's see here. Let's just make a little pile. There's an Expropriate. That's a crazy card. 2 free counter spells. Those are always good. Yeah, so believe it or not, it is actually a little bit soft on creature interaction. And I get that, like, this deck may not be played in a creature-heavy environment all the time, but for stuff like D-Manny's deck, even what Fish was doing, where you're looking at, like, these creature-heavy green decks, you may want, like, an extra card or 2. It kind of depends on what you're planning to face down. Damnation's obviously good. Chain Reaction's the same idea, but way cheaper in cost. Aetherize is good if someone's planning to attack. I really like Aetherize and Aether Spouts. Evacuation, perhaps, if they're not. This deck doesn't run a lot of creatures. There's 3 in the commander, so Evacuation could be a solid card. It sort of just depends on what you're facing. Like, honestly, the biggest problem was Dockside Extortionist. Like, if we could have countered that Dockside at some point, life would have been so much better for us and just things way less scary. Now, if that doesn't happen, like if D-Manny isn't as scary, then Fish probably doesn't kill D-Manny, and then we're into another world of problems. But so this is more like metagame stuff than anything, right? Like if Jared's not running into creature decks, then it doesn't really make sense to add more creature interaction. But, based on the meta that I play in here, tends to be a lot of creature decks. So if it were mine, I would tinker it just a little bit to have more interaction against that stuff. But yeah, the one thing I would add Underworld Breach, and I would add at least 1 wheel to go with it. You're in blue, so there are some cheap wheels available. Windfall is nice. You can go Reforge the Soul. If you don't want to spend all the money on a Wheel of Fortune, or if you don't want to proxy it. Wheel of Fortune, obviously very, very good. I forget what other blue wheels there are. There's got to be a bunch. But yeah, if you're, based on what this deck's already doing, I would go Underworld Breach, Wheel, Mana Geyser, Burn Spell. And that gives you a way to win without necessarily having Kess in play, which can be nice. I run that combo in some other decks of mine, and even without tutoring for it, it's an easy one to just run into because, like, if you have like 2 pieces of it, you can kind of find your way into the third sometimes. So it's pretty powerful, and you're not having to change what you're doing all that much to get it into the deck. So something I might look at, but other than that, I mean, it feels pretty good. A lot of these cards are very powerful. The deck is very focused. It's definitely wants to be doing the spell slingery thing of casting spells and copying them and so on and so forth. Honestly, a card that I might not say no to, Cloud Key, may not be the worst thing. We've got Primal Amulet. Are there Jace's Sanctum? Is that instants and sorceries? Yeah, maybe a little more cost reduction on your spells isn't a terrible idea. Yeah, just something to think about, but otherwise I think the deck's in pretty good shape. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel, vote on which decks I play next, or if you want to get some good games of Spell Table, be sure to check out my Patreon at the link below.